Toy Daily forums showed us a whole bunch of prototypes, sketches, and renders and teasers for the upcoming Flame Toys official products for 2019. For people who aren't aware, Flame Toys is both a high-end action figure company and model kit company that is actually licensed by Hasbro and Takara. This is not third party. Flame Toys is usually used to give us designs that sometimes are deemed too complicated or untransformable, or alternatively, something that really Hasbro feels is not in the woodwork right now for their current ongoing line of stuff. So that's where you find sometimes IDW designs or unique stylized artistic designs, or even designs based on stuff from previous Transformers lore that just isn't in the current product or narrative today. And some examples of that from their Kuro Kara Kuri line, which is their high-quality action figure line where it's just articulated figures with extra pieces and accessories but do not transform. We have here, first they show us here, the Fallen. The Fallen is currently based off of his War Within design from the Dreamwave comics. Has little flame accessories on it. This looks really cool. The last time we had an official Fallen toy based on this design specifically was the Titaniums line, all the way back in... Geez, it was
2000, early 2000s.
I would have to say
late 90s, early. I would say early 2000s.
I would say like 2006, 2007 was around that time. Yeah, it was. I mean, the comic itself was 2002, but yeah, something like around then. And again, I really dug the Fallen in this design specifically. This was the Pat Lee design. With Don Figueroa, which actually is going to continue the theme of the designs here. It almost makes me wonder how much Don Figueroa is behind all of this stuff from Flame Toys, because there seems to be a theme of a lot of the other ones here. The next one is just a teaser image of what looks like, and this is another interesting one here, is that it's a Jetwing Optimus Prime, or a jet-powered Optimus Prime, but it's based off of his IDW Optimus Prime design, meaning you have the IDW Optimus Prime, but it has the Jetwing armor and the Jetfire armor of the movie design. So it might be a reimagining of that. Now, keep in mind, this is just a sketch, so we don't really have the final look of it yet and what color it'll be and stuff, but it's pretty interesting. Another one here, we have an IDW Rodimus, but the design that they went with is the one of Don Figueroa's, which, I'll be honest, was probably one of the weaker Rodimus designs. Don Figueroa was in charge of the Transformers ongoing during its, I believe it was its third ongoing volume with IDW Comics, and Don would go on to pencil, I believe it was issues 1 to 15, with obviously little sporadic guest artists, whether it be Alex Milne and stuff like that along the way. And the general consensus was that Don Figueroa was trying to take the G1 design but give it a movie aesthetic, which a lot of fans were not really happy with, and it looked very weird. Obviously, Alex Milne would take a lot of those designs, clean them up a bit, give them a more G1 look that we're familiar with today, and go on to do the IDW comic books of More Meets the Eye that we're more familiar with. So this one's based off of Don Figueroa's design, which what he did was he had the Rodimus design, but he had like Wolverine claws where his exhausts were pretty much on his wrists. It was really
also like extended more.
Yeah, it was really over the top. And I mean, there was some scenes where like people were comparing it to Alpha Flight, because you would have like Hot Rod talking to Brawn, who's like the smaller character, and people would be like, man, they're just drawing it like Wolverine and Puck having an argument. and that was Don's designs, and they were really, I mean, the biggest thing with Don's designs were the faces, and we can't see this here because these are just silhouettes. So I'm really curious how the face looks on the Rodimus more than anything, because they had those very geary kind of movie faces, excuse me. And so I don't know. Then we have an IDW Stealth Bomber Megatron. This is the one that I feel is probably the least necessary, because we got a really good toy of this already that transforms from the Generations line. So, I mean, sure, hey, if you want to have a more articulated, fancier looking, larger IDW Stealth Bomber Megatron, that's fine. Yeah. But we got this toy as a deluxe. It was pretty darn good deluxe. They repainted it a few times. They even did the The football Megatron one was based off of this design. But yeah, there's that. And then afterwards, they show their Furai model kit line. Now, this line already up to this point has been very successful. It's been out there. I own the Optimus Prime one, and it is pretty spectacular. These are very well done, snap together model kits. As someone that has owned and built many Gundam model kits throughout the years through Bandai, this is some really good high quality stuff. So they've shown essentially right now, as of this moment, just two one is a 3D render, one is a sketch design, and one is what looks like, I guess, a final resin prototype, but it wouldn't be resin if it was a model kit. But so we have a very anime looking, very stylized Windblade done in a very feminine design. We have a Drift, which is based off of his IDW design. Again, if you own the old Generations toy, it's the same story like that. And then we got a G1 Optimus Prime, very similar to that of a Fluoro Deary G1 Optimus Prime, maybe a little thinner. But I mean, of the bunch here that we see of the model kits, the Windblade is the most interesting to me. I've always loved the character of Windblade. I've always liked just her design in general. And I mean, this looks cool. This looks really cool. It looks like these model kits were not designed by Don Figueroa. There's a signature of another individual here who did this. I'm not sure who it is, but looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. The Drift one, I don't know if it's necessary because we got a really good Drift toy. I
thought but this is the model kit though, because I know they did one for Flame Toys. Already did their own Drift.
Yeah.
I think that was one of their first things they did.
But
I guess this is just the model kit one.
I feel
if you want to build it yourself, here it is.
I feel that when it just like with the Stealth Bomber Megatron, I feel that when you're going to make new product, always try to tread somewhere that just hasn't been done. Like again, I might be kind of a little critical of the Rodimus here, but the one thing I can't take away from it is it hasn't been done. Outside of
I could kind of see them doing this, not because they're just doing it on a whim. The feedback could have been like, oh, this would be so cool if there was a model kit of this. And they got enough feedback. We're like, okay, we're gonna do one.
It's a
because I mean, like this is the only one that looks like it's a resin, right?
Yeah.
Like the image of it looks like it's a resin. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, it's a picture basically. So you're seeing a little graininess in there. And then you have the image of the Windblade is just a sketch. It's just an image. It's just a drawing. And then the Optimus Prime G1 one is just a CGI mock-up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're like, okay, we already have this design. We did we could probably pare back a few things here and there, and then we could just make it a model kit instead. I think that's where they're kind of going with it for that idea.
I think it might have to do with Flame Toys and what trademark licenses they have to work with. Drift seems to be a reoccurring character within their lineup, so it's probably something that they're like, well, we got it. We have the Drift license. We have the Drift trademark. Let's do more Drift stuff. And then, of course, just I guess who they could fill out with that line too.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a proper female character added to the line yet, and Windblade really is starting to become
a mainstay,
almost the poster child of female Transformer characters, more so than that of RC even. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of becoming the choice. Not to mention, again, with the current comic books, the current cartoon series. That's kind of how it's shaping up to be. Yeah,
they're kind of putting her in as like she was always there.
Yeah, as if she was
she was best buddies with
Bumblebee.
With Bumblebee, she's best buddies with Hot Rod. The last what was it? Power of the Prime series, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty interesting that they're finally putting one of those people there, and it's especially a fan made character. On top of that, fan-voted character,
yeah.
That's pretty... They're getting their mileage out of it, at least,
And so,
something that, the fans put out there, they're using it. So that's pretty good. I think that's always a good, positive way of thinking about it and going about it. And I don't know, we might get more. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to keep track of this when the Windblade, when we finally get better photos of the actual toy, we'll definitely talk about it. But of the ones thus far that have been shown, kind of intrigued by the Rodimus. I'm just curious how that face looks. The Fallen one looks really cool, and I love the Fallen. Always been a very interesting original 13 character, and any merchandise of him is always welcome. He kind of had like a peak, obviously, with Revenge of the Fallen, and then he kind of fell off fell off the radar. We got a few Megatronus figures here and there from RID 2.0, but nothing in that old school Fallen kind of design. So it's cool to get that old Dreamwave design. And the Windblade intrigues me. So we'll talk more about it when more shows up, and who knows when that'll be, but you'll be able to hear it here for sure.